Hack the Planet, session 13, season finale from the Gauntlet Hangouts, gauntlet-rpg.com to check out what that is about, or go to G Plus community and search for the Gauntlet and ask us general questions and or find the fact sheet that is linked there, which is very good, actually. It has just been redone and is quite good. So, let's introduce characters. Asher, do you want to introduce your character, please?
My character is Hicks Cleland. She wears like oversized clothes, right? So it's very flowy, and she's all about farming. So she had a garden in the forged community, and used to be an indoor farmer, and then brought that to the community, and now just organizes community farm stuff, and they're the haunt. So
cool. And Mike?
Playing Yeji Pak. She looks like a 70-year-old Korean grandmother, but she is a part of the criminal underworld, comes from the Forged, deadly sneaky. She's a fuse. She is suffering from a disease called the Glacium Pearl, which she caught by drinking water that had been infected with mutated nanites out in the Forged, and has been orchestrating a large score / revenge plot against that. The people who perpetrated that.
Right. Yeah, you got one down. Cool. And Steven?
I am playing Elysian, the old man. He is from the Foundation, but has fallen. Maybe for experiments he might have done. He is a Torque, and he's kind of a street doc kind of thing, so he'll fix people up and things like that, maybe. And he also has a couple of gadgets, things like he's usually dressed in a lab coat and old gray hair and a cyber implant. And he has one of his gadgets is a local area network, like drone. So basically we can keep in contact and transfer data within a, half a block or a block kind of area, something kind of localized. And the other one is a group of nanites that will help wreck or repair items as I work on them.
Sweet. And Yoshi?
Yeah, I'm playing Caitlin Cross Karstes. She is like a 5'3" dark-skinned woman. She's got shaved hair on the side of her head and sort of long black hair on the top. She is the edge, so she's a hand-to-hand fighter, like a warrior person, but in general wears clothes that are very functional and athletic, not necessarily to show off her prowess, but to give her freedom of movement and things like that. Initially, she tries to let people underestimate what she can do, so she can take advantage of that perspective shift when she finally decides to throw down. She's all about being free, and so getting rid of some of the things that all of the upper corporations have done. So the tracking in Nourish's food and all of the other things. So trying to redistribute wealth and technology to the Forge communities to make things better for those people who are kind of being systematically oppressed.
All right. So let's go to wishes. Asher, do you have a wish that you'd like to see this session?
That's a good question. I think I missed a session or something, so I'm not sure exactly where we are. The last I remember, we were hitting an iceberg, right? So maybe leveraging this newfound water that we're providing to get more in the community, right? Up our tier or whatever.
So they've done that basically. So
Okay.
yeah, they
Granted.
Which
Yeah.
granted.
yeah, the session previous, they basically eradicated the porters from this area and have taken over, and now they are the porters basically. They are communicating with the people who kind of like own and operate and train the porters in a different location called the Rust. And now they're sort of like their supplier. And essentially, they were like, you can send more porters if you want, but we'll kill them all. And so you can just deal with us, and we'll be the porters from now on. So, like, the porters still come and go, but they report essentially and all that kind of stuff as a front for you guys. It makes you more reparable. You have like they took some kind of claim to represent this, I believe, and then so now you guys have kind of like gone legit, I guess, for all intents and purposes. So
Maybe I'll hold my wish.
that's good. Mike, something you'd like to see?
I think I would like to see an elaborate and essential score that makes Yeji coming out of retirement worthwhile.
Like one last job.
Yeah, I mean the last job was one last job, so this is one last job plus. So yeah, it probably won't be able to be as big as the last one. But yeah, something that like feels like it's got some real stakes behind it, and yeah, let's go for a tier 5. Is there a tier 6 that we could go after?
No.
No, I don't
You're funny.
hold me on the tiers.
Okay, sounds good. Steven?
So I'm not sure how this would work mechanically, but narratively, I'd kind of like to topple part of the government or the establishment that's kind of hold these, the upper crust people, and kind of start to bring them down. Specifically, like Old Man is totally into bringing them down, and I think that also plays into the one last job and the let's give freedom to people kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know how that would work mechanically, but just either take out the whole government or some piece of it, or unstable it or something.
Okay. Sounds good. Yoshi?
Yeah, I am totally down for everything Steve just said. That sounds awesome. But really, like, one thing that I want to see has nothing to do with Cross is I want to see Yeji and Old Man, because I think there's potentially very interesting things with Yeji wanting revenge and Old Man from being from the same class of people that she wants revenge on. Not necessarily that person, but like from that class. So like I want to see that character interaction and like what's going on there.
And in addition, Old Man uses technology and stuff like that, and Yeji is sick from technology. So there's some good tension there.
Yeah, so I want to see that.
Cool. Okay. So, setting-wise, we have the 3 pillars of the Shelter 1, which is safety, information, nourish. Previously, Yeji masterminded a plan against nourish in which you drop them a tier from tier 5 to tier 4, and also got rid of the CEO by poisoning them with the same gross glacium pearl thing in a disgusting way. And so is this another thing to further reduce nourish, or to target a different one, or what do people want to see happen? Nourish is the one that like puts the nanites in people's foods and is in charge of basically all labor and all that kind of stuff, right? Like they are kind of like the embodiment of capitalism in that they are like branding themselves as very good people and selling shit to everybody and keeping everyone under their thumb by selling them these things, right? And it's literally the food that they imbibe is the thing that controls them, right?
There's a reason why Cross is obsessed with taking down Nourish.
So there's that, but I mean the other ones are bad too. Safety is same thing, right? Like they name themselves something docile and complacent and nice and stuff when they're the authority that is backing the other two pillars. And information literally controls all information. So everyone, like, you know, there's equal parts nefarious things happening, I think. But yeah, what do people want to see?
I was gonna say, from the technical standpoint of we only have one session, I don't think we should try to go super huge. Like, I think it would make sense to do something that we can do in one session. Something like, hey, we got this lead on this person that was part of like the team of scientists that poisoned Yeji or something. Like, we're gonna go take that person out. Or we got this lead about like this one, they're transferring some technology and we want to like disseminate that, like we just need to capture the plans or do something like that, where it's a job like that that's relatively quick, that has some stakes. But then we can also see like, because I want to see, like, my wish is to see downtime or like just interactions between Old Man and Yeji. That can happen in the score, but I also think that's really likely to happen in the downtime afterwards, of like, dude, what the fuck did you just do type stuff.
Yeah, I think narratively I've been thinking about this, and I think the cool thing that would be easy to possibly do, but puts a little bit of pressure on Mike, is we could easily do a scene, like I could easily see the opening of this particular episode or TV show or whatever, or movie, what have you, as like a shot of where Yeji has been this whole time, and like a you know, computer decrypting the information that you guys ripped with Grabracia's help, and it finally finishes, and whatever it is that you find is the thing that takes you back and embroils you back into the score to finally complete this thing, right? And that could have something to do with your disease if you have an idea of where it specifically came from. It would be maybe a good score to have it as like stopping more people from getting this particular infection from wherever it stems from, right? Mm-hmm. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then that would just be a good fictional positioning. You could just say whatever it was that you wanted for where you're thinking the origins of the disease is, and then we just hit it up. Because we have you're the infiltrator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Old Man is Edge, is it?
Torque.
Oh yeah, Torque, right. Yeah. And then we've got the Haunt, and then we have an Edge. So
is there something we could do along the lines of the information that Yeji got involves maybe a backdoor, the information about the nanites that Nourish is putting into the food, and we could infect them in some way?
Infect who?
Infect the nanites. To kind of sour them or make them, you know, misbehave or something like that. Which would lower Nourish's rep, and then we have our own gardens.
Interesting. So like it'd be okay. So you like make everybody a cyberpunk, like everyone goes off grid because they just like stop reporting for everybody or something?
Or something. Yeah. It could be that, or it could just be that they start making people sick, so they search out a different source of food because these nanites are obviously bad and Nourish has been lying to people and making that public.
Oh, okay.
What do you guys think?
Sounds like a season finale.
Yeah, I like the idea that you guys who have been active in the crew don't necessarily reveal the whole plan to Yeji. Because Yeji historically has been like very against these sort of like moves to like for the crew to sort of like manipulate the stuff themselves. So that would be established. That would be like known among the group that she would not be a fan of that. But I think you could tempt her in with sort of like the revenge and the potential loot out of things. And then that could kind of like feed into Yoshi's wish at the end. If she sort of starts to figure out what's going on.
So what if this played into what Fraser mentioned about turning off the nanites? So if she's against them, what if we just turn them off? Would she be more into that?
Yeah.
So that's a good way to switch them off. Suddenly they have a whole bunch of people who aren't trackable and stuff.
Yeah, that would work either way.
Yeah.
I think either way is interesting to me. It just depends on what you guys think makes sense for where you want to play.
Asher, any ideas?
I wanted to see stuff from the Reach still. I feel like we haven't gotten that. Maybe we could use some of that technology somewhere here. That would be interesting. Like something like new and weird coming from the Reach that we didn't expect. Maybe that could be like at the end, right?
Sure. So like, I don't know. We could say that like where they insert this stuff is offsite or something like that, or like where they're manufacturing the specific nanites that get injected into the fruit is offsite, because that makes sense too, right? Because if it was in Shelter 1, people might be like, what's going on, right? So instead they manufacture it, it gets imported, and then, injected into the food later on in Shelter 1.
That makes sense.
Okay. Cool. Let's see. I think the problem with that is I'm not sure. All the all the places that make sense for that, I think you've seen, Asher, right? In other games. Like I think the one that would make the most sense is Silk Falls, right?
Okay.
So if you don't mind going back to a place that you've seen in another one, that would be fine.
That's
The
all
rest
right.
of the Forge communities are getting done by stretch goal people. So I only have like 4 or 5 of them made up, so we don't overlap with each other.
That's all right.
So do you want to proceed with that?
I'm thinking maybe it could be like a split mission. Like half of it could be in Silk Falls and half of it could be in Shelter 1 or something. I think that might be cool. Like cutting back and forth or something.
So so you would be wanting to go to Silk Falls essentially, like to take out the manufacturing process, and then the
Right.
people in Shelter 1 would be
Maybe infiltrating Nourish or whatever, right? Because that would be where their headquarters are, right?
Yeah.
Or trying to prepare for when these nanites go offline, right?
Okay, so Nanites going offline as a springboard for something else?
Well, I imagine we would want to keep it that way or something, right? We don't want to just take them offline and then have Nourish immediately put it back online, right? Then we wouldn't have done much.
Well, so here's my idea: is that I think trying to do 2 different things is probably a bit much to do in one session. So like
That's fair.
I'd prefer to focus on one place where we can keep everybody together. So I think hitting the offsite manufacturing sounds like a great place. It's where we could inject something, and sure, Nourish may eventually figure out, hey, this is the factory that got wrecked and damaged. Or whatever, and that's where all the problems are, and they'll fix it eventually. But like, really, to me, the goal is not necessarily to take it out completely; it's to slowly off the rep. Like, hey, they had this big E. coli breakout; they're not as reliable as you think. Sure, it's hard to take them out completely with just hitting one factory, but like, you do this now, you do this again later, you do this another time, the rep is going to go down. They're going to be people that other people are like, no, we can't trust them anymore.
Yeah, like that's what I was thinking too, because
Okay.
what happens if like in such a outbreak like that is they have to stop all of the plants in order to find out which is the one, and during that's when they get hit, right? Like their bottom line is hit because they have to stop, they have to test every plant, they have to figure out what's going on, and then also That's also the leverage that you need to tell um, the like general populace that they're being surveilled and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Cool. Okay, yeah, because I'd imagine they have like a bunch of these plants because they have to provide for an enormous amount of people across all the districts and stuff like that. So you just need to find one that's like, susceptible. Maybe the one that poisoned Yeji or something like that, right? Like the specific one or something. Cool. So here's a question though. We finished downtime with Cross and Old Man, but are the other two characters already done downtime as well? Do you guys have stress and stuff like that? Because if so, I would probably just clear it because it's the same as clearing all that stuff mechanically in game. When your character goes away for a little bit, you come back without harm and without stress. So if you have that, then you can be fresh and spry.
Done.
Yeah.
Right.
It was looking rough there.
Yeah,
I
I
only
bet.
had one stress, so
Yeah, I imagined that Yeji had a lot based on the
Yep.
last thing that Yeji did.
I wrote a note for when I got back that I would have 3 stress and 1 harm.
Well, there you go. So
Broken rib.
now you're fresh, you're spry. Cool. Okay, so let's put this in the fiction. We kind of know what we want to do as players, but I think it would be fun to embroil people into it in the fiction, right? So where has Yeji been hiding?
I think it's kind of been a combination of the Green Mile and the Hunt. She's with her newfound wealth. She's been like among the elite betting rooms in the Hunt. It's kind of a gambling parlor for criminals. And so yeah, like she's kind of been. We kind of established the last time we saw her that she had started. It was just a nice little scene, but she was teaching some of the little hippie kids in the Green Mile how to use blades. And she is like trained like a little like squad of them at this point to kind of be like her like bodyguards. Yeah, like she just kind of hangs out in these like back rooms of the Hunt, placing really big bets with her giant stash of money. She loses some, she wins some, comes about out has been coming out about even. But yeah, she's among the high rollers in the Hunt now.
Cool. So interesting. Do you think it's more compelling if you're the one that decodes some of the data, or if other people decode the data and bring it to you, and that's how you get embroiled in this?
Ooh. Either way.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
Because Gabrash broadcasted all of this to everywhere, right?
Mhm.
So potentially anybody really could be decoding this data and collating it and stuff like that, and being the one to discover this thing that will piss off Yeji. So cool. I can't remember. Do you have a specific idea of how you were like poisoned? Mike?
Oh, sorry. It was, I think what we had established was that it was the nanites had been like let loose. These sort of like experimental nanites had been let loose into the forge. An act of God had like haywired them. And then when it rained, one of those groups, yeah, because there's the groups in the forge that like collect water off those sheets or whatever. So it was like a particular storm that was like infected with all of these nanites. So all of the people in that communities or in those communities that got hit with that storm at that time all have it.
So maybe the thing that we find out, whether you or maybe Cross, I could imagine getting this data or something like that, would be, what about if like something gets decoded at the start of this episode somewhere, we don't know whose computer it is or whatever, but it just says like Project Starburst or something like that, and it turns out that Nourish had actually made that act of God happen, right? So it's even like worse.
Yeah.
Than
Or
you
what if they
thought it was.
designed what if they designed the nanites to be activated by an act of God?
Sure.
Like that kind of thing. So like it was a way that they could kind of like get them out there, like without anyone like picking it up. Maybe it goes through, if there's any kind of like control or like peer review of like new nanites that are entering the system. Like it was a way that they could kind of like slide that through whatever kind of detection would be going on. And then when the act of God hit, like that would activate it.
So really it's like it could have happened to like everybody or way more people. It's just that the storm hit your community and activated it.
Yeah.
And the ones like around it, like you said, right?
Right.
So yeah, it is more egregious then, right? Because it could have been even more people, a little bit more nefarious things happening.
Yeah, there's a little bit more intent behind it. Like maybe the act of God like did something to it that like they did not expect, like made this like worse. Like they just expected this to be like another like controlling thing, like that kind of thing. And what it's ended up being is this incurable like disease, like virus.
Yeah. For me, like I think that a lot of corporations, they try to do things to make more money. And so for me, like I would see them doing something like, hey, we're just going to make this slightly more addictive. And it's going to be doing these things so that people want to do whatever it is. Like it gives them this thing that makes them buy more. But the act of God may be mutated in a way that they did not expect. Because like I have a hard time believing that giant corporations that make a lot of money are actively trying to hurt people. I think they don't care and they're not like trying to prevent things necessarily, but they're not like being evil for evil's sake. Like I think they're trying to make money, but like it's slightly different. Like I don't think they're trying to hurt people that way.
Sure, yeah.
I think line up with like Yeji's attitude about like when she's like, yeah, we are not getting into this sort of like genetic modification business. Like that is not going to happen because she kind of like sees what the intent of it is. But yeah, like I think like it makes sense that we discover that like there was like some more nefarious intent than we initially knew. Where she even thought like, oh, it was kind of a mistake, and that's why she let the CEO kind of like get out with just the disease. I mean, she killed a lot of other people, so I don't know if that's maybe strike that reasoning, but yeah.
The interesting thing about it too is that if this is information that you have found, whoever, it also kind of means that anybody else could duplicate this, right, and do it even more. So that is another good reason to shut down this particular factory and show that like this is like a big no-no or something like that, right? Because if you can decrypt the plans, maybe somebody else could, and then it would the snowball is rolling. So cool. Why don't we, in order to flesh out this data, I'm thinking we could treat it as gather information for everybody, and then everybody can have a kind of say at codifying this mission a little bit by getting the data and kind of inserting what they want to see in the fiction about it. So maybe each person could just like add a detail about what they want to see in the mission, and then we can go that way. So there seems to be a bunch of different things that people want to see about the mission. So let's see. Okay, so to regroup, we know that this is going to be outside of Shelter 1. We know that this is like some processing facility that is creating nanites of some kind, right? And this is ultimately going to impact Nourish. And we need a plan that will be good for Haunt, a Fios, an Edge, and a Torque, right? So, okay, cool. So I think the best way is doing almost like another round of wishes to see what people want to be doing on this type of mission. Steve, I think with such a big factory, are you thinking like sabotage and stuff like that for Old Man?
So mainly I was thinking about the step after we get the information, which would be Old Man is helping to modify the nanites. So could that be a part of once we get there, Old Man is working with Yeji's, found secret back door in order to get access to the nanites to kind of shut them down or to turn them off at some later time?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Interesting.
Or
Okay.
do we need more something directed towards the actual act of getting in?
Well, yeah, so why don't we go this way then? What kind of plan do people want this mission to be? And then from there we can work out. Do people want it to be an assault, a deception, a stealth plan, a social thing?
I have the machine plasma move, so I can use nanites to get in. I think that might be an interesting idea.
Cool.
Stealth might be interesting. I don't know if I've done one of those.
Okay.
Yeah,
guys were
start-
very stealthy.
Or we've tried them and they've just turned into assaults.
Yeah.
Which might happen still.
Yeah, I think we've done a lot of like starting a stealth that turns into assaults, which is probably partially my fault, seeing as I'm an edge. But that being said, to me, depending on what our end goal is, it makes sense that if we want Nourish to shut down all the factories, we don't really want to make our presence known, period. Like, if there are guards, we don't want to kill anybody. Like, we don't really want to take people out. Like, we want to implant the thing that is doing the damage and have them not know which it is. So to me, stealth makes a lot of sense.
Right. You want them to not know what thing to turn off or whatever, right?
Right.
You want
Exactly.
all of the batches from all of this stuff to enter production, and then once people consume it, it turns off everybody's stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a little bit of a long game or whatever. They inject it into everything, and then they're like, "Oh no, there's no possible way to tell."
Right. But if like we blow up the factory, they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, right, it's that factory that's causing the problem."
That makes sense to me. Cool.
So in that case, I think I heard that Hicks has a good way to get us in, or get at least themselves in. I think that Old Man can study the people in the factory in order to find out where a weak point is, someone we might be able to coerce or take over their, use as an in, basically. Use as someone that we can manipulate and get in there.
Interesting. Okay.
So a
So-
mole. Yeah, finding a mole.
Okay.
Yeah, that's also something my move needs. I need to touch skin to skin with someone in order to copy the nanites. So.
So maybe you're doing this together.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like the idea of tying this in with everyone going to the hunt, and then we can kind of do some painting the scene of the hunt. We can get Cross maybe confronting Yeji, and then at the same time as that conversation happening, we can have the interplay between Hicks and Old Man. Getting this skin to skin contact in this mole in there. That would be fun, I think. Is everyone down with that?
Yeah, can you describe the hunt a little bit?
Yeah, that's what I think we'll get everybody to describe the hunt. First, we'll do what Mike remembers of it, and then I think we'll just get everybody to sprinkle some some details, because before the hunt was solely a vice purveyor thing that Yeji indulged in. So Yeji had defined it solely by that. But if everybody's entering the scene, it would be fun, I think, to see how it might have changed or what other people perceive of these spaces.
Yeah, the little bit we have from the Google sheet is the hunt is an underground casino inhabited by criminal elements, usually games of chance, betting on scores, ornate, think Black Panther, high tech hidden panels, and security devices. That's the extent of what we have.
Yeah, yeah, and for more context too, they had used this place to make a ton of money when they hit Nourish, because they had made a bet that what they were going to basically do was going to happen. And then they made some money, so that's where Yeji's fortune thing mentioned had come from. Cool. Okay. So why don't we have people entering this space then? So, Mike, why don't you paint the scene a little bit, and then we'll have other people add details.
Yeah, so I think you kind of like come in, it just looks like a, like a back alley, like a kind of like typical industrial door within Shelter One or whatever. And but you walk in and it's this like ornate wood with like gold trim kind of like casino. We had likened it to that like underground casino in Black Panther. There's a bustle of like seedy activity. There's probably wafts of like strange smelling smokes as people get high in various ways. There's all these like, I think we had established there's all these like opium type of couches like right at the beginning, and there's probably like people just like splayed out on those. And yeah, there's all these games of chance being played. You see oh yeah, and so like there's also like every once in a while like you see everything looks like very wood and organic and like elegant and old, but every once in a while you see things like open up, like very sophisticated electronics and like cybernetics and all of that kind of thing are kind of like taking money, like manipulating things. You see like security cameras and that kind of thing like popping up, and maybe there's even like somebody tries to do something that they shouldn't do. As you walk in and you see the sort of the building itself respond to this sort of illegal activity among illegal activities.
Cool. So, Hicks, what is it that you noticed that only a haunt would notice going into these spaces?
That's a good question. I think I would notice that a lot of the like sleight of hand is actually like electronic, right? So they make it look like something's magical or something, but it still follows all the rules of betting and things, right? Because you need to do it the same way every time.
So some of it is like some panache for like the customers. They're like, oh, like dazzled by this thing, but
Yeah, there's
but
like
you're just
smoke
like
with little robot hands under it.
nice. And Hicks is just like, this is basic bitch stuff. I like that a lot. Cool. What about Old Man? What do you notice?
So I noticed specifically how they're tracking people. So typically they're looking through nanites as people enter and things like that. And I think the Old Man notices this because he's trying to keep kind of on the down low with making sure others don't notice, making sure that his background is still kind of hidden. And he has to kind of counteract this as it comes in, that they're tracking people, and he would get flagged as an X Foundation.
Cool. Yeah. Also, like, maybe the bouncers kind of like even be like side-eyeing you, right? They're like anyone over a specific age, like Old Man, they're like, trouble's coming.
Yeah. They're kind of like, he's kind of blank. All the others, as people come in, they're shuffling them off. Oh, this person would prefer this kind of gambling. This person would prefer, the nudie bar. This person would prefer different things because they know from your background. But whatever Old Man comes in, they're like, he doesn't really seem to have any information about that. So that's odd.
Cool. I like that a lot. That's an interesting detail. What about Cross?
So I've got two details. One of them I think is just sort of fits in like with the casino as a whole that I think anybody notices is that like before we've established a lot of drinks in like other places as being like bright and flashy and like doing cool things. I think the aesthetic of this place is totally like the in trying to be old fashioned. So like all of the drinks that you see all everywhere, it's just like whiskey with like ice and things like that. It's like very, very simple. Like when you like maybe on the establishing side, we see somebody trying to order one of these really fancy drinks, and the bartender just like kind of like side eyeing them and shaking their head, and they're like, "No, you can't order that shit here. Like we don't serve that. If you want something, you have to order like these things. Like those are all fine, but like that shit doesn't fly here."
Cool. So, Yeji, do you are you like the owner of this place now? Like, how baller are you?
Oh, I'm not that baller.
No,
I don't think we would have had to knock Nourish all the way down for me to be that baller. Um, but yeah, like I think like I'm kind of like back in like this back room. The wood in that room is darker and older. Like it's very ornate and impressive in a world of like high tech and like metal and steel and that kind of thing. And I've got like a squad of kids.
Is it like the Blade Runner 2049 Wallace's place with like the water surrounding the wooden steps going out with like a wooden deck and it like is like all echoey in a large place or whatever? Or
you're gonna cry a little tear because I haven't watched Blade Runner 2049.
Oh my god. You're a bad cyberpunk.
I'm a terrible cyberpunk, I know. But yeah, if you think that makes sense, I was kind of picturing almost this scene to be kind of like Apocalypse Now, where was it Charlie Sheen finally gets to him and sort of the "Are you an assassin" kind of thing. So I think like it's like this like very like private room with like just filled with like smoke. Yeji's probably smoking too.
Yeah, I want it to be like, especially since it's the old man first time seeing Yeji. I want it to be like a sort of like dramatic reveal in the TV show thing, right? So like, there's only like half of your face illuminated in this place. There's smoke coming up. It's like, yeah, like you say, opulent with the wood and stuff like that. You probably can't tell if it's like manufactured to look like wood or if it's real wood. I think the room isn't that big, but it still is designed to like have an echo quality to manufacture a lot of space. And yeah, I think leading up to it are these like fancy wood blocks that you step on in order to get there, which is also a way of managing somebody's gait, so that security can like properly sort of clock you as you're coming into this space. So here's the question. For this particular scene, do we want everybody to be confronting Yeji to get Yeji on board, or just Cross and then just like interspace a cut to Old Man and Hicks trying to like wine and dine or however they want to do get the mole person? What are people interested in?
I don't feel like Hicks would help very much.
Okay. Well, there's that.
The only thing I think the old man might be able to contribute talking to Yeji, it's just the dramatic tension of making things go south. That would be fun to see, but I think it might be better off to progress things if we were split.
Sure. Okay.
And then whenever we come back, we can have that dramatic tension.
Cool. So maybe we have like a flashback of Cross getting that information for Yeji, and then like a shot of all of you guys together and Cross being like, "We have to go to the hut," and everyone's like, "What's the hut?" Right? And then we get the cut of like everything that we just saw now, and Cross going into the room to greet Yeji. Maybe is anybody with you, Yeji, in this room?
I think
Are you alone,
you,
smoking up?
you don't necessarily notice right away. I think there's probably a table with a dealer, and maybe like there's one or two other wealthy looking criminal types. But then I think that also like Yeji's like little like squad of kids, blade wielding kids, is kind of like standing by the doorway as well.
Very nefarious. Okay. Yoshi, did you have something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, when I walk into the room, do you notice me? Because if you don't, then I'm totally going to like go up to one of the blade wielding kids and just like ask them to go relay the message to you. Your call.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I noticed. I think I'm like very like Yeji's like very focused on just like gambling her life away at this point.
Yeah, so like I think the camera just sees like Cross sort of like lean down to one of these kids and like snatch the like because they're playing with the blade and just like grab the blade out of midair, just like by the blade, and just like look at it, look at the kid and like, look, I'm old friends with Yeji over there. Do you think you could let her know that her buddy Cross is here and has some info she might be interested in? And then like hand the blade back to her.
Cool. I have a fun thing too that Yeji, what about only agreeing to talk to Cross if Cross goes to the table and wins a hand against you?
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Like doing the it's a $5,000 buy-in or whatever, right? And you have to like
She's a little amused by this idea. So yeah, like it's not like this like sinister type of thing, but she's just kind of like, oh, you finally decide to come hang out with me after we had a blast in this place. Like that's what she's kind of like thinking. It's been a while, old friend. Pay your dues.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll sit down and play a hand.
Cool. Should we just do a fortune roll or something? Or
Sure. Yeah.
or it might even be a fun PvP roll against each other, actually. Like a sway or a control on the dice or something like that. That would be fun.
Either works. I'm okay with just doing a fortune roll.
Okay. Because it could be like a fun versus thing where like whoever gets the most hits wins the hand or something like that.
Yeah, we could both roll what would make sense. Prowl? Like if like really the game is not about winning, it's about cheating the best.
That would be fun. Is that good with Yeji?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Let's see who wins.
Prowl roll off.
Are you pushing yourselves?
Cross might want to.
I'm probably going to lose this, but we'll see.
Oh yeah! Wow, you got schooled by Yeji. Well,
I got schooled.
So what happens, Yeji?
I got all of her coin.
Oh, okay.
No. I mean, yes, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what weird game we're playing. Like it's like little like block tiles or something like that, and like Yeji just does this like really quick move that like not even she even knows the security system. So Cross is probably like trusting the security systems to like play fair. But Yeji has been playing so long, she just like puffs like a ring of smoke and then just kind of like manipulates the tiles like as everyone is kind of like staring at this like ring kind of like shift into like a I don't know like a Mobius or something like that, and she just kind of like tricks the whole system. Cool. And then she just like grins at Cross.
Yeah, I just kind of like I don't stand up, but like I shove like the money in there. Not like super angry or aggressive, but just like a little bit dejected of like I lost. I'm like, well, there's a reason why you've been around as long as you have and you are as good as you are. But I've got some info and I like look at the other two people who are sitting at the table and like, I've got some info and I've got no more money to give to you. So if you want to come talk about something, just let me know. You know where I hang out. And I think I like stand up and like sort of like walk away, but like walk away slowly enough that if you want to catch up, you can. But if you just want to sit here and play your games, you can.
Uh, um, yeah, like I kind of look to you and I say, it's been so long, and that's all. You come, you play one hand, and you leave.
Look, I didn't come to play cards or whatever this is. I came here because I thought there was some info that I think you would care about. But if you don't want any part of it, that's fine. I've got things to do, and it's not my time. It's not me for me to waste my time idling away, winning some, losing some here. I've got things to do.
It sounds familiar. What would be interesting to me? I've done what I came here to do, and I'm happy to die in peace.
I think I just like look at you and then look at like where you cross the door with all of the nanites, like that, like kind of like inspect you as you cross in, and I'm like, there is more than that one person, and there's more people out there, and they're still doing it. I've got a lead on where we can stop some.
I kind of like grab my blade, and you see her just kind of like nervously like tap at it, and you see like the like sunjet component just kind of like flare up really quick. Those two other guys at the table kind of like look over like panically. The kids kind of like smile and they're like, yeah. And she's like, all right, let's talk.
Cool. And then we'll cut to the inside as you're waning and daning. So, how is it that you, Old Man and Hicks, find a person who, like the appropriate person?
So I think I've actually started study and I have contacts from my prior days. And I found someone who has a vice to come here and gamble and enjoy the debauchery here. So I think this is a good place to make the contact.
Cool. I like
Yeah.
that. Okay. So, how do you go about doing that? And what do they look like? This contact.
How do we go about making the contact?
Yeah, like so
Yeah.
you're going up to the person and trying to like make them a contact, is that right?
Yeah, so I think that I have found the right person through investigation who has kind of a weakness and might be able to help us. I'm going to say this is a kind of person who would actually be sympathetic to our cause, who's become disgruntled where they are and seem to want to deaden themselves through drink and distraction so that they don't focus in on what they're doing with their life.
Cool. Do you have a name and picture in mind?
I do not have a Nope, I do not have either in mind, but I can come up with.
Let's see. Page 7 is names, I think, on the quick start. Yes. And yeah, if you want to grab a picture. Jeez, what's going on with my throat?
Okay.
I like the idea that this is one of the cyberpunks, like they modified their own nanites and didn't like it, and that's what turned them to gambling and drinking and debauchery and stuff.
Yeah, you guys all have modified nanites. And I guess you even more so, right? Because you've hacked yours to be able to get into different districts and stuff like that, Hicks.
Mm-hmm. But it probably has like negative repercussions or something. Like they make it addictive or something, you know?
Sure.
So you don't want to do that, or maybe at least for a little bit.
That's why you don't get your nanites reprogrammed by a person in an alleyway, right? This guy's known for making alcoholism. Don't go to that guy. Cool, let's see.
Pinterest.com.
Yeah. I have a board. Need to add more
I can
though.
never find anything. I'll just look on the homepage. It's all the cyberpunk stuff for me.
Well,
Yeah.
there's the thing too.
Yeah, so I think this is a man, and his name is Morlan. Morlan.
Ugh.
Are you looking for a picture? Oh.
Yeah, sure.
I see that now.
And it was Moraln.
Lan. Yes.
Lan. Cool. Hmm. Cool. Do you want me to grab the picture, or are you grabbing it, Steve?
Why don't you go ahead and grab it?
Okay.
I'm looking through all the beautiful pictures.
Sounds good.
Someone a little corporate, right?
Yeah. What about the woman with the fancy blue futuristic thing going on at the
Okay.
top? Let's
So like
see.
all the pictures.
This one, she's like all gussied up and has like a futuristic blue fan thing on the side of her head. Or is that too highbrow for this place? Or maybe that's
No, I
how
think
she
that's
sticks
good.
out.
I think that's
Is that
good.
That's good? Cool.
Oh, wow. Some other things popped up for me when I hit that link.
Oh, really? Oh, really? For me, it's just, well, for me, it's just my board. But yeah, I don't know. So that's good. Or, oh no, but you said you wanted it to be a man, right?
No, that's fine. I think Morlan will work for that name as well.
Okay, cool. Okay, so what do you think? She's playing some games of chance as well, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think these are more refined. I think these are more refined games, something that would distract her and that is more fitting to her station as a person in power, I think. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so she's at like the head of the table. She's like doing the power structure stance action stuff, right? Like the essentially the James Bond villain things in casinos is happening. She's got a black, like silky looking dress, black hair with like red highlights running down, a blue fan that's been like unfurled and has like another one attached to it and is to the side of her head. And yeah, she's doing her thing. So you said that you already know this person and you're just making contact? Like, are you trying to forge a contact now, or you already know them?
Oh, I think that we're trying to forge a contact now. I think I've studied them.
Oh.
So I have background history. I've been able to find background history on who is a good contact to make.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you make contact? What do you do?
So I think I walk up to the betting table along with Hicks. And it's up to Hicks as to whether or not they want to gamble or not, but I'm definitely gambling. And I'm a little bit more distinctive, and I start manipulating things. As I think we established that there was, some manipulation that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I touched that a little bit and shove it enough to get her attention, that she would notice that this happened, but maybe no one else would.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think that's the way I'm going to try and get her attention so that we can talk.
Okay. It sounds like maybe you're setting up the next action to me. So what do you think that particular action is, you think?
Something probably having to do, maybe hack? Something having
Sure.
to do with getting a hold of stuff, yeah.
Cool. And in this scene, is Hicks doing anything as well?
I think I'm just trying to keep our cover, right? Since this has to be stealthy, maybe I'm trying to block our signals if we have contact or something, so that they can't tell that we're together.
Oh, I like that. Because you have flickerware or something too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that this character or a different one? I always forget.
This is it.
Yeah. So I like the idea of us seeing an old man go up to this table along with her betting, and as it's happening, we get a shot of the security cameras, but the flickerware makes it so that nobody is there. So you don't see old man, you don't see Hicks, and it intersperses, right? So it's when it's in real time, Old Man is there doing something, and then on the cameras, there's just like nothing occurring, right? Cool.
Also, before we go in, Old Man's talked to Hicks and says, this can go two ways. Most likely it's going to go badly. The way this will look is I'll go in and get her attention. All you have to do is be in contact in order to duplicate her nanites or something like that. So if I can recruit her, great. If things go south, I'm just some drunk and I get kicked out of the bar, but I'll make sure shove her or something to make sure that you get contact. Sound good?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
In other words, don't kill yourself if things go bad, right?
Yeah.
And don't worry
Sounds
about covering me. Yeah.
cool. Okay, so roll it up, and depending on your success here, you'll be setting yourself up. I think it's pretty, well, I'll say risky, but the risk is just that like she takes it the wrong way or doesn't notice, that kind of thing. It's not like harm is on the table or anything like that. And then success will essentially give you more effect or position, your choice, on actually cajoling her into your ways.
Okay. So standard effect. My created gadgets, my nanites that modify actions or wrecking. I don't think those apply. Okay. So. Hey.
Wow, so the best. That's a good one. Cool. So you set yourself up well, which means you can take better position and effect in the next thing that you do. So why don't you tell me how you get her attention? This goes perfectly exactly as you imagined. So
Yeah, so I think we both step up to the table, and she's been winning and winning well. And I think that as we step up to the table, Old Man is kind of to her right side of the table, and she starts to start another round of betting, and it's she's manipulating objects on the table, and they're moving kind of in 3D. And Old Man makes a move that at this point, normally it's legal, but at this point it should be illegal. But the nanites let him make it anyway,
oh,
and she gets this. You can tell that she's made a note. She still wins, but just not as well as she had been in this round. And then
right.
Old Man, kind of eyes her and then steps back off to the side, and heads towards like a private booth where they could talk.
Cool. Is it
Yeah.
like was it a strategy game thing? Like, is it something showing off that she's like corporate and ruthless and like that kind of thing? It's like battle chess or something. I don't know.
I think it's more like Go,
Oh, okay.
but with
So like
towers.
strategic, right?
Very
Okay.
strategic and very thought provoking. Yes.
Interesting. Cool. I like that. And Hicks, a thing that just crossed my mind could be that a thing that happens a lot in casinos, especially in Las Vegas, is when you're at a table and you're gambling, drinks are free. So maybe she orders a drink and you could take advantage of that to get her like skin to skin contact if you want. Or do you want to do that in the booth later on when she goes over there with Old Man?
I'm trying to figure out how to follow them into this booth, right? So that Old Man doesn't just like appear out of nowhere on the security footage, but I don't want to seem
Right.
like I'm following them either. So maybe, I mean, if they both leave, then the game's probably over. So maybe I'll just like make like I'm going to the restroom or something and just like wait outside the booth.
You could
So-
you could be basically appear to be a waiter or something like that, an attendant, and just follow almost like a butler. Yeah.
All right, that's not a bad idea. Or the security guard.
Yeah,
Ooh,
whatever.
yeah, I like that. Your security, right?
Right, yeah. So if people go into this private booth, I don't want bad things to happen in the area, right?
Yeah, and then that way, if she like orders a drink, the waiter could bring it, and you're like, "Hold on, I'm security, right?" And you take the drink, put it down, and then we get the like CGI shot of her grabbing the drink, and it's like skin to skin contact because you've touched the glass as well, or something like that, right? It's
Okay.
all technological.
So Hicks, is there anything you'd like to do with this woman now that we kind of have her? Before I blow everything up,
um, who is she exactly?
she's a contact inside the plant.
All right.
Yeah, so she could potentially help us out.
But so she still works there.
She's disgruntled a little bit. She's starting to question the kind of acts that she's doing. So she's potentially, we could recruit her potentially, or the realm of possibility is she could become one of us, all the way down to she could die and you could take her place for tomorrow. So whatever you want to do.
I like the idea of like manipulating her nanites. Like maybe the skin to skin contact is something I could offer her, right? Like I'll if I touch you, I can get I can get some of your nanites and figure out how to modify them later, right? Like we can offer that to her as a reward for.
Yeah, basically getting her out. She wouldn't have a way out normally, right? That would be. I like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, because you guys have already all done that to your nanites, right? Like you could be like, we know how to get you truly off the grid.
Get
right?
you truly off the grid with no repercussions. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that sounds like something that would happen after making a contact
Right.
of her. So let's go. Let's continue with this scene a little bit. We'll get one more roll on the table, then we'll take a break, a bio break, because we're an hour and a half in. Okay, cool. So you go over to the private booth. She goes over there, and I think the way that we get around the fact that you've been making Old Man invisible is that the VIP booth does this as well, right? So as you kind of shadow the camera line, and as soon as they get in there, everyone's invisible as well, and you become the like security of Old Man anyway, right? Cool. So what is it that you say? I think she sits down and she orders a drink regardless if Hicks is going to use that to advantage or not, and it's like some sort of I think she orders just like a mimosa, whereas before she was drinking something hard like scotch or something like that, showing that she's like she's like being playful, right? And she says cheating has its own rewards, doesn't it?
It does in our world. As it turns out, I believe that the two of us have a common cause. There's been a small amount of upheaval. Well, small for you, big for common people in the world recently. And I think that you would be better off if you were unentangled. Would you be interested in bettering the people here rather than helping to slowly kill them?
Snap. um, there's a time to do when you're told, and a time when you have to do what's best for yourself. I could see myself going one way or the other at the moment, but as you say, there has been a little bit of an upheaval. I'm on something of a seesaw. Can you make me go down one way or the other?
So we have all become free, and I think that you would enjoy this type of freedom and wouldn't need to deaden your soul in places like this. I think it's something that you would grow from.
Freedom is a gun at your back. How would you get rid of it?
Freedom has a gun at your back, that's what she says.
Yeah, because she doesn't know that you could remove the nanite stuff, right? She still assumes like, "Ooh, I could get out of Nourish, great," and then what, right? Like I'll just get shot in the face in like the next day or something.
So as it turns out, not everyone is trackable, and we have methods. This little nanite cheat that you saw was like taking breath for us. We are very good at making sure that we are not trackable, and we can share this with you, as long as you help us and show your loyalty to the people rather
Interesting.
than to taking the people down.
Cool. Yeah, so I think that's definitely a role, but I think Hicks could definitely help. Hicks, do you have a way of helping this? Because you're the one that is the nanite mess stuff, right? So what do
Right.
you how do you because you were saying you wanted to offer her something similar, so do you have a thing in mind in the fiction?
I mean, I was thinking you're just saying the same thing basically. But
Well,
I,
maybe you have prepared a demonstration, right? Where you put something in front of her that does have the nanites removed, so it is like off the grid, so it's like a proof of concept or whatever beyond that, something like that, right?
right, maybe it's like a vial I can inject.
Oh,
And
like I like that, like a short thing, right? Like she goes off the grid for 5 minutes or something. She gets like a little taste or something like that, right?
Ooh, the
yeah,
first
so
hit
I'll
is
just
free.
like
That's fantastic.
surreptitiously pass it to
What does
woman.
it look like? What is it?
Maybe it's like a vial that's like has like a metallic substance in it, right? But it's like liquid, and I put that into on a needle, right? So you can inject it.
Cool. Okay, so what action do you it sounds like a group action to me, maybe? What action do you guys think it is, though?
Sounds like consort or sway or something. Like we're trying to get her to do this.
Yeah. I could see actually all of them, right? It could be control, network, or sway to me. Network is typically for people you already know, but it seems like applicable. Sway definitely seems applicable, and control, the way old man ended the sentence, definitely seems like it's still on the table as well, because it was like you got to show your loyalty first, and more like kind of domineering than swayish, right? So what you can always pick by what you guys are best at. So what is that?
So I'm horrible at all of these.
Oh, okay.
I would be best at network or command or
Okay.
control.
So control is totally, I think, something that would be good, because you're flaunting it in front of her the way old man ended the sentence. It seems like that would be good if you think. And then Steve, mechanically, you can do a group action, but if you don't have dots in it, another thing you could do is take one stress and give a die to Hicks for the scene, and Hicks can just roll. It's up to you.
So I think taking a stress and giving a die to Hicks would be best.
Sure.
And I think that the way that this looks on screen is these free nanites, in order to get them into the building, I actually had to bring them inside of me.
Oh.
So Hicks is actually extracting them to put them into the vial to then put them into
Oh.
the
That is good. That's very intimidating, right? Like, old man says this thing, and then Hicks takes it like out of your body package thing, and then slides it in front of her. That's very good. Cool. So Hicks, let's see how well this goes.
This is his command. Agreed. Yeah. And it's probably controlled or risky.
It's risky because it could go one way or the other, and Do you guys have do you have items or anything like that that helps you out here, Hicks? I think
Helps command.
I think that you'll have great effect anyway, just from the fictional positioning of this like metallic substance in front of her that is going to do what she wants for a limited time, right?
All right.
Especially because we already know that she's like a gambler, right? So she's like looking at this, 5 minutes of freedom as she's getting it. So 6. So
Another
there you
6.
go.
Nice.
Boom. So I think if it was less than a 6, she would have like been a little bit more calm about this, I think. But I think as Old Man is like studying her, you guys can see that like her pupils dilate when she sees it, and like maybe her breath gets quicker. She takes it, she puts it in like a clutch or something like that, right? And she says, if this is what you say it is, uh, I'll do anything for longer than whatever this lasts, right? And she doesn't know how long it lasts right now, I guess, but she can tell that it's like a substance that won't last too long, just from the amount or the dosage or something, perhaps. So you definitely got that cinched with 2 6s. That's pretty good. And so mechanically, you can add her as an actual contact to your list. And Hicks, did you want to do skin-to-skin contact just in case or something like that? That could definitely
that could be like when I inject this in her, right?
Sure.
That would definitely be skin to skin.
So maybe the scene is instead she doesn't like protest, and as it's happening, it's just like she doesn't put it in her clutch. You just actually inject her with it, and then she's like, if this does what you say it does, then you have my backing. And then we get like the final shot of her like walking across the cameras or whatever, and we get like the there's maybe like a shot of like Nourish's grid people or something like zooming out, and then like a blip just disappears, right? Cool. Okay, let's take a quick break. Bio break. Let's come back at 37.
Sounds good.
Cool.
That was a fun scene. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was really good. So I know that you said we're about halfway through the session. We should focus in trying to accelerate trying to get to the end.
Yeah.
I'd like to see maybe whenever we do the main action, maybe Yeji and Old Man, or all four of us are together. That way, there can be some delicious interaction between the two old people.
Sure.
Yeah, we can also do flashbacks type things.
Is the side conversation between Yeji and Cross then?
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. I read it. It's nice.
Yeah. Cool. Mike is back, he said. So,
Yep.
cool. Just waiting on Asher then.
So, Fraser, are you and Yoshi or Yoshi or anyone else going to Gen Con along with the rest of the Gauntlet crew?
No, I'm not.
I played with Lowell Thursday night, and I think Lowell and Jason and a bunch of people are all going to be at the Magpie
Oh,
Magpie
cool.
Games booth. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe next year I'll be able to make an American con. If I do, chances are it'll be Big Bad Con though. That's the number
Good
one
choice.
for me. yeah, Yoshi's happy about that. Gen Con definitely. It's a financial stretch for me to go to any place in America at the moment. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be Gen Con. Yeah, and I know a lot of people like going to Metatopia and stuff, but I mean, I can playtest whenever I want with the gauntlet. So yeah. You guys should take some pictures and stuff though. Put them in Slack for the Gen Con action. Gen Con honestly just sounds incredibly scary to me anyway. People are like, you could just go and spend the whole day just walking the show floor for all of the days. I'm like, that sounds terrifying. I'm not sure I want that.
So I think Gen Con in general is what you make of it. It's so big that you could spend your entire time just painting minis or just playing card games or just, talking to people or playing demos of new games or just games on demand. I've got some friends who go there just to play True Dungeon, which is a haunted house kind of game, just over and over and over. So, you know, there's so much there that if you're easily overwhelmed, it can be an issue. But so Lisa, my partner, has some crowd issues, so she just plays a game or two and then takes it easy and naps in the room and doesn't really stress out the crowds too much. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, well, let's just get going then. Okay, there we go. Asher's back. So, okay, so let's move to planning this heist, and I'll get to that page. The score. So, it is going to be a trespass unseen stealth mission, it sounds like, at least initially.
Until
Sounds
Cross
good.
gets involved.
Right, and so we need to detail the point of infiltration. Do we think that your contact has opened some sort of door or something like that for you all to get in at a specific time, or what are people vibing on?
I was going to say, I kind of like the idea if this is somebody who's disgruntled and wanted to turn on us. or to not turn on us, but turn on them. It's more like she lets us know about some like loophole, like some loophole in their security or something like that, where they have plans to fix it, but like it keeps getting pushed off on and low on the priority list. And so like we have like they're like, oh yeah, we know that this camera in this door, they don't really work. We patrol, but like it's not really working. It's just there for show right now, type thing.
Cool. Mike, what were you going to say?
Can you describe the facility a little bit? Like,
Sure.
I'm not super with it.
Let's see. Let's see if I can't find a cool thing.
This one is along water or something. Is that right? Or
the community is Silk Falls, which is out in like a desert area. There's like a crevasse, and inside of that crevasse is a small community that are gardeners that specifically are bioengineers that are modifying plants and vegetation to do various things. And within that community or just outside of it will be this structure and plant that Nourish has. Let's see if I can find a cool structure anyway that isn't a mega city type thing for Cyberpunk. I'm not sure if I added any pictures like that. Not seeing anything that kind of makes sense to me.
I think I have a better-ish idea.
Sure.
If it's in a crevasse, maybe we can skydive into it. Or I also like the idea of, since one of us at least is loaded with cash, of contacting Violet at Owaza and getting an active god. Yeah.
Yep, that sounds good. I had a picture of this crevasse too, I thought, but perhaps not. Interesting. Maybe it's on a different board. But yeah, think of it as like a hidden community out in the desert that's really hard to spot because it's like within this like crack, right? So if people fly over it, they wouldn't really see it. But if they know exactly where to look, this place is easier, I guess, to spot. And it's kind of like this. I'll show you here. But this is what it would look like once you get into the crevasse. Yeah, nice. Yoshi throwing shade with the halo jumps.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe like our contact like opens like a skylight or a hangar or something like that at a agreed upon time. And yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you've got like a narrow window. Another thing I think that would be neat is especially with if we're going vibing on like the nanite thing, maybe she gives you like the employee frequency or whatever. You change it, and then when you're in the security, you just look like you're broadcasting like the employee nanite frequency or something like that, so that you can get in via the skydive thing, and then once you're in there, you just at least ostensibly from the exterior, people monitoring look like employees, which will be fun because then the heat would be a fun thing to get rid of in the future, perhaps, like if we come back to this, because they could find out being like, oh, suddenly between 10 to 15 minutes there's like 4 more employees and then they're gone all of a sudden, right? That'd be fun. So cool. Yeah. And do people want to gather a bit more information in order to be bold and daring non-contingent on many factors, expose a vulnerability, make sure they're not strongest against this approach, etc. for your engagement role. Anyone else have an idea?
I mean, the only thing I can think of is doing some sort of like survey type role to like actually figure out where we want to jump in, type thing. That's about like the only thing I can think of. I think everything else we could do, we could just do via flashback and let's get started sort of thing.
Cool. I like that. Okay, so yeah, the engagement role wouldn't particularly pertain to that, so we can just say in fiction that you do that, right? You scout out the particular area. And of course, because this is like a heist game, it has to be something that's like really hard to hit, right? It's like, someone has to be like, are you crazy? This is like jumping and hitting the head of a pen or something, right?
I like this new skydiving to work program.
Yeah, exactly. Take your friends to work day through a pinhole. Cool. All right, let's go to engagement then. So you start out with 1d for sheer luck, right? Is this particularly bold or daring, skydiving into a thing with your nanites adjusted to show as employees? What do we think?
Daring.
Yeah, I think this is bold and daring.
Cool. Do we think this is overly complex or contingent on many factors?
Not really.
Yeah. Does it expose the vulnerability of the target? Yeah.
Yes.
You've opened that up with your fictional positioning from her being your inside agent and all that. Are they strongest against this approach or have particular defenses? So you're going to where they're like housing all of their finished batches and contaminating it. They probably have a bunch of, that's where all of the defenses will be, I think. So I will say yes to that. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight to this particular operation?
That includes the contact that we just made, right?
Well, I gave you that for the plans exposing a vulnerability in detail. So beyond that, does anyone else have other contacts?
I will say again, I will buy an act of God. Maybe it just rains.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. That sounds good. Yeah, with the Oaza, right? Cool.
Yep.
Are there enemies or rivals? I don't think so. Any other elements? Yes, this is a higher tier than you for sure. I think this will be, well, you're tier 2 now, so it's only one tier above you, so that's not too bad. And so you are left with 2 dice. Who wants to roll it?
I think Yeji should.
Go, Yeji. It's your birthday.
It's been a while. I don't know if I have game mastery anymore.
Yeah, so just open up the Constant Gardener's like crew playbook, and in the center-ish, there's a roll engagement roll.
Got it. I hit it. Now I have to flip back to this. 2 dice.
Cool. So you're in a risky situation.
Love it.
Makes sense because, yeah, it's bold and risque. So I think I'm not interested in abstracting getting like skydiving in. I think that is like a cool thing that people can just do. You land in there, but I think the first obstacle definitely is that. So pictured in the thing that I sent, it is similarly tiered in the way that this structure is. So it's kind of like a futuristic thing that is working together with in harmony with nature and all that kind of stuff. So in this tiered building, there's like plant life everywhere and all of that kind of stuff. It's made to look organic and wood natural, and it's tiered in such a way that you're kind of like making your own obstacle by having this act of God flood the place as well. So you have the benefit of everybody being like, oh no, everything's going crazy, right? Like make sure that you get the pumps working so everything is displaced out of here and all that kind of stuff. So you have like no one's going to pay maybe too much attention to people running around because everyone's very focused on tasks that are getting rid of like the problems associated with this act of God hitting the station. But it's also hard to navigate because it is like a flooded place and all of that kind of stuff, right? So you've created like a natural obstacle for yourself essentially, and you're when everybody else is going, and there's probably like the commanders and stuff like that telling people like what to do in these emergency situations and stuff, and you're navigating to places that people are not particularly concerned with. So why don't we have you guys making your way to this specific location in this place that holds all of the nanites, and the first obstacle is simply just getting there, which I will abstract to
That sounds like a group roll, like if we're all
Yes.
doing it.
I think so as well. Is everybody ghosting there, or how do people want to handle it?
Yeah, I mean, ghost to me makes sense. Like, what move to roll? Like a group ghost roll.
Yeah.
Who's going to be leading this? Is this Yeji leading this, or is it somebody else?
It feels like this is the infiltration point, right?
Yeah, so I feel like maybe you're leading this and everybody else is rolling, or everybody's rolling, but you're the one taking the stress for us.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah, as usual. Welcome back, AG. Yeah, cool. So we've got a 6 o'clock, which means that if you guys do a 6 or a crit, then you'll pretty much be there. Otherwise, there might be other obstacles like people in your way and such. So that's a 5 from Cross.
Oh my.
What happened? What'd you do? Oh, wow, that's a lot of ones.
Wow.
Yeah,
Stress
well
yourself
done,
out.
Yeji.
Wow.
Stress yourself out, man.
See, this is what you get for taking a break from the game and just gambling all the time. You're not up to snuff.
It's true.
Or maybe,
Lost a step here.
or maybe the illness has progressed even more or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a good time to do your usual cough up, right? I've got the black lung. Cool. Okay, so highest roll is a 5. Yes. So you are getting 2 ticks on the clock. You get 1 stress from yourself.
Okay.
Yes. And so consequences here. I think a consequence is on your way there, a foreman person in a jumpsuit or something like that is they can't particularly make out if you guys are dressed appropriately or something like that, but they assume everybody here is an employee, right? And they're like shouting at you, and they're like, get to the what would they call get to the mechanical room to like get the flood gates open and all of that kind of stuff, right? So what do you do?
Or just wave and nod.
Well, okay. How do you circumvent this obstacle, Yeji? Or anybody, really.
I wave and nod and look to the rest of the group.
And are you sick? How do you stress yourself out? What is...
Yeah, like I think that makes sense. I think like maybe it's not like necessarily visible to anyone else at this point. Maybe Cross would kind of know that something is going on since she's like been with Yeji, but like Yeji's being kind of like sly about this. It's more like feeling like it's coming on. And that's kind of like how she's like starting to get a little stressed out about it. And I think like to Yoshi's point, like maybe she feels like, oh, I've been out of this too long. I think that that's exactly what's happening, and she's just like, I shouldn't have smoked so much in the casino, like shouldn't have bet, like should have been like doing more exercises in case something like this happened. That's all going through her head, and like it's just starting to spin up that stress.
Cool. And yeah, like Yoshi says in the chat, make sure you pick your loads. Looks like 2 of you are light at least.
So
Yeah.
in terms of like getting around the obstacle, like I could totally, I'll mark off subterfuge supplies. And I think this is like me just like holding up some equipment and like, look, we're going to go patch this thing. There's a leak over here. Like we just got to get going. And like, because the longer you delay us, the more shit that's going to spill everywhere.
Cool. So what role do you think that is?
Probably control.
Sure.
It feels like control to me.
Sure. And is anybody helping in this role?
I whispered across, like, you're not just going to shoot him?
Is that helping?
That is not helping. But maybe, I don't know how I would help in this situation.
I can like hold up some hacking devices or something. Like, I'll just fix the computers. I don't know. Like to block it off.
Okay, so are you taking 1 stress to also hold up equipment that looks like it's
Sure.
stuff? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sounds good.
I'll take the bonus die.
I'm sure you would need more than 1 person to fix a leak.
Yeah. So risky standard.
Yes, yeah.
Risky standard, 1 bonus die. I got a 4.
Cool. So that's another 2. And so I think this guy just sort of like shakes his head and is like, I don't have time for this shit, right? Like the storm's coming down. I'm picturing very like Jurassic Park 1 in the forest, right? Where like Ned is like, fuck my life, trying to navigate through these things.
Yeah, it's the I don't have time for this shit, and me responding to Sato, yeah, neither do I. I'm going.
yeah, for sure. And so you get to you navigate through like these catwalks and all this stuff. People are hurrying everywhere. There's like pandemonium and stuff. But the thing that you guys, well, I don't want to say that you hadn't thought of, but there is an obstacle. And I picture it as like the typical factory giant doors, right? That are like steeled off and stuff like that. And while you look like employees for sure, especially from the nanites and stuff, as you like get close, the nanites, like the door goes from like green to red, showing that you like don't have clearance to enter the vats of this thing. Only particular people can get into this location. And yeah, maybe it's even a thing that what's her face? It's surprising because you have the same clearance as your contact, but they're not in there. So it's also kind of signaling like, is something happened to your contact or what, right? Danger, Will Robertson.
So can I try to hack
Yes.
that hacking gear I held up before?
Exactly, yeah. Do you have any other moves that are pertinent?
I have Rootkit, take +1d and +1 effect when hacking above your tier.
There you go. Cool. And so this will be, it's still risky. There's people around, they might see you, that kind of thing. But it sounds like you have, well, you would have had standard effect, but you have fine hacking tools. And then do you have something else that increases effect beyond that?
The Rootkit, if it's above our tier.
It gives you +1 effect, does it say?
And +1d, yeah.
Cool, so you have extreme effect.
That's still risky.
Yeah, but still risky.
No one wants to help.
Yeah, I can help out if you want some. Narratively, I think that Old Man loans his nanite expertise to the hacking. So I'll take a stress to add a die.
Okay, that's good.
Cool.
I mean, we'll probably do really good.
Nice.
6. Cool.
6.
Caca. Cool. Okay, so there's no repercussions because it's 6. Oh shoot.
So, Asher, what does this look like when you hack in? Like, how does that look like when you do all this stuff and the door opens?
I mean, I think I'm just like upgrading us to the highest clearance, right?
So do you
Cool.
have, is this you in front of a screen, or do you have like a tube that comes out that interfaces, or I haven't seen your character before. How's that look?
Yeah, before I used like a screen, but I mean I have these hacking tools, so it's probably like plugging into some like outlet on the wall or something.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Cool. Okay, so the doors part, we get like the the like shuddering, and like it's a little loud, and maybe you guys like look around and you're like, oh shit, hopefully nobody hears that. But meanwhile there's like a raging monsoon or whatever, so you're like, seems good. The doors part, and inside is like the processing facilities, not a conveyor belt, like chutes, I guess, right? Like as the batches are completed, it goes into like this facility that packages it and then eventually gets sent out distribution wise, right? So I think what you have though is all of these chutes going into this massive like turbine looking thing that is like the vat is what I'll just call it. And so all of the finished stuff goes into this large thing, and this large thing outputs this stuff into moderate size things that are then distributed. So you guys can like, this is the thing that you need to circumvent or whatever. As you look around though, you see that like this is the Ocean's 11 room that you need to circumvent, right? So there's like temperature sensors and there's like cameras. I don't think that right now there's any personnel in here, but it's like a very high-tech room, so flashbacks and stuff like that would be good. So to be transparent, you have this clock to surmount, a 6 clock of safety measures, and then hack the batch is a 6 clock as well. So what do people want to do? Let's pull the table. What would Cross be doing in this situation?
Well, we are dangerously getting into situations that are not my expertise. It does not involve punching someone, so that makes it a lot harder. But I think what I'm probably doing is doing a lot of like the physical things. Like there's probably a control panel that's like behind like the dancing lasers, and so it's like doing some of the physical work to get to like the other control panel type stuff.
Sure, yeah, I could totally see there being a field, like a security field that you can Frenchman your way past
exactly.
to get to. Cool. What about Old Man?
I think, do we need to do safety measures before we hack the batch?
I don't think so. It could be like an ongoing thing for both. And then what I'll have happen is the complications from the appropriate cocks will be occurring
Simultaneously?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Old Man is going to immediately try to use his nanites to gain access to the batch. That's probably any kind of electronic managers or something like that, or it could be hack the batch, whichever. So I think he pulls it
because you have that Wi-Fi thing, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So that makes sense. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. And I guess the way this looks on screen to deploy the Wi-Fi drone-looking thing is he kind of steps in and tosses it in the air, and it kind of picks, stops at a particular point, so that we all have access and can interact with everything and start to dampen the safety measures. Yeah, let's do that.
Epic. Okay. And what about Yeji? What are you doing?
I mean, it feels like Yeji might be the lookout in this situation. Like, it's a lot of high-tech stuff, and we have a lot of, like, hacking people and wrecking stuff people.
Aren't you a fuse or something?
I am a fuse.
You're the infiltrator.
I am the infiltrator. So do you maybe? I mean, once they open stuff up, I like open it enough that I can get through. Like I can probably like duck and weave and all of that kind of thing.
Well, what are your moves? What do we want to see in the fiction?
I have not affected by quality or tier when I bypass security measures. And then if I've gathered information about habitual patterns, I have potency. And then I can also kill things.
Cool. Okay. So security measure wise, it'll definitely be at least 2 rolls, I think, right? Like even if you crit on one, you still need to circumvent something. So there's the laser grid that Cross is dealing with, but perhaps there's something else that you can use to circumvent, because you have the circumventing security measures as like your jam, basically, right?
Oh, so how about I did our contact kind of like explain that there's sort of like the system kind of like resets or goes through like a cycle.
Cool.
Maybe once or twice a day, something like that, and it just kind of like is in a it's in like a subsequent path or like a pattern or something like that, that the different like systems kind of like reset, and the idea being that like there's always a fail-safe of the other systems, and it would be like impossible to know like which ones are resetting at which times and that kind of thing. And so I've sort of we've gotten that information of like what that reset cycle actually looks like, and part of the coordination of the time here was to time it so that we would arrive as this reset cycle was going through.
Epic. I like that. Cool. Okay. And what about Hicks? Do you have an idea of what you'd be doing?
I think I want to hack these vats.
Real good. Cool. Okay, so let's start with seeing if we can get rid of the security measures, and then we'll naturally flow into the hacking, depending on, of course, what rules happen. So, Yoshi, do you want to start with your French dance?
Yeah, I will totally do this. To me, this is totally Ghost. I don't think it could be other things. So yeah, I'll give it a roll.
Cool.
I think I'm going to stress myself out to push myself to get another bonus die.
Cool.
Just because as much as I like 2 dice, I want the third.
Yeah. Cool. 6. Okay, so security measures halfway done, as predicted, basically. Cool. And so what does it look like?
Yeah, so I think this is probably a lot of stuff that is sort of like the Frenchman like type dance, but like instead of, because the way Cross is built, she's actually pretty strong and she's agile. So I think a lot of it is like sort of like maybe taking off like the bulkier outside jacket type thing and like getting to like more like athletic clothing type thing that's underneath. And a lot of it is the like the quick movements, but there's also like the really strange like one-armed like handstand type things to get through the lasers that are like more a show of strength than necessarily like just raw flexibility.
And I think like we get a shot of like people, the audience would be like, oh yeah, it's a typical Ocean's 11 lasers or whatever. But I think like as something singes across, they're like, oh shit, these are lasers.
Yeah.
Like owie lasers, not like tripping the alarm lasers.
Yeah, if you guys know what like a front lever is, like I could totally see like at one point it's jumping up and doing like a front lever to pull myself up, keeping the lasers from like slicing into me.
Cool. Love it. Okay, then Yeji, let's get a roll for the rest of it then. So you know the routines of this place, and you're kind of like running the gambit of all the different security systems and then turning it off kind of deal, or what?
Oh, what I'm thinking is maybe like there's, as Cross is kind of like making her way through this, maybe there's like one of these systems is not something that she's just going to be able to dance through. So it's like a more like planar laser system, like more advanced kind of thing that kind of like, I don't know. spins around and all of that kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is when there's kind of a gap with another security system, I'm going to kind of like wall climb up to where like this system is mounted. And I think I'm going to just like try and use water to like flood the electronic systems or like out some way so that it looks like maybe it was just like part of the torrent or the monsoon that took out this particular device. And yeah, clear a way for Cross to continue, and then yeah, for the rest of us to kind of move a little bit more freely too.
Okay. So we're moving from nobody was here to this place was wrecked by the monsoon.
I think this is just like a minor, like, it's not, I'm not looking to like wreck the entire place. I'm looking to just like short out a system with like a little bit of water kind of thing.
Okay, sounds good.
I picture Yiji sitting there with like a sponge and dripping water, just drip by drip until it fries. Yeah.
Cool.
Like that. Yeah.
Okay, and so what action do you think you're doing?
Perhaps. Does that make sense?
Sorry, what was that?
Or what is it in the actual game? Yeah, finesse.
Finesse, yeah, okay. No, you just broke up at the beginning, so I didn't hear what you said, that's all. I wasn't like, final answer? Right?
I was worried the term had changed between Blades and Hack.
No,
right.
We're good. Okay, so does anyone else want to participate in this scene with Yeiji?
I thought when I hacked the door, maybe I got like an idea of the security system, so I could give a heads up, like, oh, there's also like IR sensors or something, you know?
Sure. Okay.
You can't
Sounds
see.
good. So you're stressing yourself?
Yeah. To add a
Cool.
dice.
Cool. Extra die, and you've got all your moves doing stuff here.
Cool.
Yeiji.
Risky standard, that's right.
Yeah. Cool. So close. So let's see, what is the complication here? So you fry out the thing. Oh, I know what happens. So you fry out the thing and it works, but as a complication, the safety measure automatically, when it's circumvented, the doors close behind everybody.
Oh no, sorry.
So cool. Let's cut to old man. You are deploying your Wi-Fi device, right?
Yeah.
Cool. What action do you think this is?
So actually, I think that I'm going to deploy the device. Yeah. So I'm just going to deploy this device, and I think this is probably could it be a study?
All
Yeah, so I think it's a study to try to block out and make sure that all of the security things in place are kind of shut down within this envelope, but it doesn't look like it. So it's kind of like a communication blackout kind of thing. And that's in order to figure out what all the security stuff is, all the security protocols are.
Cool.
Let's see. Click on study. Yeah, okay. Risky standard?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have any suggestions? I could do a ripple.
Ripple. What would be a good ripple? I could back up the safety measures thing and make more complications occur. That'd be. I would back it up 2 ticks, and something else would be deployed along with the closing of the door.
Ooh.
How about also, or something different entirely, is maybe somebody else is coming here for other reasons entirely. So like we have like other people that maybe not suspect us, but like at the same time, like if they see us, like we're going to have to do like some avoiding of like other people type thing.
Sure, I like that too.
Yeah, I like that. It's sort of like maybe the disarming of the the water getting in has set off an alarm, so someone would come to investigate or something.
Yeah, it's not necessarily that they think there's somebody's in like breaking in yet, but they could if they see us type stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I gave myself a bonus dice for that.
What'd you get here for the 2?
5.
Cool. So you get 2 ticks. And so I think what we get a shot of is like back in her office. What was her name again? Something.
Melora?
Melora. We got a lot of chat. Maloran, right? Cool. Okay, so I think she's in her office. It's like the typical exec power thing where it's like minimalistic, white, one swath of a desk with no computer on it because the computer is the desk, of course, right? It looks out onto, it's probably like the highest tier or whatever, and we get like a cut back to it and it says like 15 minutes ago or something like that. And there's like a technician that shows up or like a foreman or whatever. And they say like, this place has been tripped. We have to do our due diligence and go to the vault and inspect it or whatever, right? And she's sort of like, okay, hopefully this is gonna go well because like I'm in a rock in a hard place or whatever. And then we get like a cut back to the scene in the vault with all these things happening, right? So she is being escorted with one other person who has almost certainly a weapon of some kind. Cool. Hicks, how do you help out with hacking the bitch?
So we haven't gotten through all the security measures yet, have we?
No.
Okay.
But you can still hack the batch while we're doing that.
Okay.
So for that complication that you did, I'm going to do 2 ticks on this clock. That sounds fair? Cool. Sorry, can proceed, Hicks.
Yeah, so I imagine getting out, like maybe part of the hacking gear is like a little a dish, right? So you can like beam out signals. So I think I'm gonna set that up and like try to connect to all these nanites to like reprogram them.
Cool.
So that would definitely be a hack move.
Hack it up.
Maybe I'm helping because like after doing through all the dancing type thing, like part of what I was doing was setting up these dishes like that you're connecting to do everything.
That'd be cool. You could get them like all over the room or something.
Yeah. Like at one point it's me like, is this the location you want? As like I'm holding myself up by one arm, planting the dish in some other place.
Yeah, you have to get all of the vats right in the room. So.
Yeah, I'll take a stress and give you a bonus die.
Oh, cool. So risky standard.
Yeah, unless you have items to boost you.
I have the hacking gear still.
Cool. So you still have so you still have the extreme effect, I guess, right?
Yeah. I guess it's still risky.
Yes.
Such good hacks.
Cool. And you have extreme effects. So you're 1 away. Even without a 6, because you have more effect.
Sweet.
Cool. So this is, you guys are quite close. You've got like 1 pie left in hacking and then 1 pie left in safety measures, which is abstracted to the doors closed. Your exit is not good. Also, someone is approaching your exit. So
this is marriage, not safety.
Yeah. I think what I'm going to do is a complication for this roll, though. I could definitely just have these people arrive, but it seems kind of like too soon for the fiction for that, maybe. Yeah, we'll do that though. That sounds fun. So the complication is ticking the arrival clock. And so I think they've arrived, and you hear like outside, like we get the moment where you're like, "Did you guys hear that?" or whatever, right? And like somebody is like inputting the settings and or whatever they need to do, right? Like inputting the information that they need to open the door again.
Maybe they arrive and realize the door is on lockdown. Right?
They,
Isn't that what happened? Or...
well, they just arrived. I'm not gonna make them be like and also set off an alarm or whatever. They have just arrived and they can discover your stuff in due time here.
I totally imagine there's the like on the inside there's like the 6 LEDs and they're just lighting up one by one as they go through the input codes like type thing.
Exactly. So I'm gonna make another clock, which will be discovery, which is 4. So you guys need to complete your clocks and GTFO before this is filled. So, or filled, not the word that doesn't exist. Cool. So, what do people want to do?
So I think Old Man would like to hack the nanites, and the way that this looks is he pulls out, kind of a connecting tube and goes up to one of the vats, and he kind of connects it, to the implant that he has on his head, and then the camera kind of zooms down that as he connects it into the vat, and you see his nanites that he uses for rec and create kind of funnel down the tube and start grabbing the created nanites and kind of encompassing them and inject their data, and then they'll move on to another one, so they're kind of spreading it. And whenever he does this, he kind of looks up at Yeji and kind of gives her a wink.
Nice. Sounds good. Oh, also, I should say too that their arriving was technically a consequence. So if anyone wants to do a flashback for fuckery, you could be doing that and roll back that clock.
Ooh.
I like the idea of like setting up my own security system outside the door.
You mean like they are having problems opening the door or something? Or
yeah.
It just says your password expired.
Yeah, or maybe it has like a long timeout, so every time they enter a passcode, they have to wait a while.
Oh, okay. So it's just like their system is going really slow. They've updated to Windows 10.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so to risk those consequences, that sounds like either resolve or insight, like forward thinking, or what do you think?
Resolve, insight. Oh, those are the categories. Yeah, that sound good.
Which one do you think it is?
Probably resolve because it's hacking still, right?
Cool. So let's see how much stress you take from that.
Great.
And instead, oh, nice. You take no stress. Cool.
Sweet.
So I'll back it up one. They're still walking there. So we get the shot of like what could have been, right? But instead, the LEDs I think are just going very effing slow, right? Like instead of it going super fast, they're having to just like deal with all these like major steps, which makes sense too because it's like a bureaucracy thing too, right?
Ooh.
Like
what if basically we see the LED track get all the way full and the doors open and it's a different vat room?
Oh.
And they're like, oh, he re-rigged the alarm that went off to go to a different vat room, so now they have to go to the right one.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea too.
Awesome, man. Especially from the audience perspective, right? They're like, oh shit, they're gonna get discovered, and then it's like the nothing thing, right? And they're like, oh, this one's good. Let's go to the next one or whatever, right? Like they're doing all of them. I like that a lot, actually. Yeah, let's do that then. Cool. Okay, so and then let's see how well this hack goes then for Old Man.
Yeah. So I think this would be modify.
Cool. Yep.
And it's risky, standard.
Do you have anything that boosts you?
My nanites boost me.
Cool.
They give me an extra die. I think I'm going to roll that. And there we go.
5 again. You guys like your 5s. Okay, so hack is done. Choo-choo. And so we still have safety measures, and as a complication, yeah, I guess now they arrive, right? Unless people want to resist again. Well, let's see. It's a risky situation. I could have two consequences. Let's see. I'll have one consequence being the arrival, and I'll have another consequence being
I'll totally resist the arrival.
okay.
I think what it is because I'm over somewhere else. Like I think it's the like hitting some button, and so like I think I might be in resisting with insight, but like hitting something to like activate something somewhere else, so that sort of like draws their attention. Like even if it's just delaying it for like 5 minutes while they're looking at something else, type thing.
Cool. Okay, I like that. So resist that. Oh, I know the other one. The consequence to also, Steve, for you is that as you're doing this, another batch is coming in to the vat, and three stress. That's a lot. And so what that means is I'm going to. Where is it? I'm going to do a tug of war on the security measures and back it up a bit.
Okay.
Cool. So
Bring us home, Yoji. Finish off the safety measures.
yes.
Well, so what I was thinking, tell me if this makes sense, is that I would be kind of checking the room for any evidence that we left. So like footprints, scuff marks, all of that kind of thing. And then kind of like cleaning all of that kind of stuff up. So sort of like stepping back and trying to like observe the room as if I was someone who works here regularly and looking for anything that would, that we might have like left a nick somewhere and I'm going to polish it out or whatever, like just kind of like dash around the room and try and fix as many of the more blatant marks as possible.
Cool. Okay, so risky standard because we are still they're still coming here. Maybe so is this the second vat room that opens up then or what? They're like still not there or what, Yoshi?
I think maybe it's not like them, like it's them sitting at the vat room and going through all of the controls and like doing their routine assessment. Like I imagine Morlin is like checking off something on a clipboard, like, oh, we're checking this, we're checking this, we're checking this, and then like some like LED flashes on the panel or the screen that they're looking at, and so they just have to like go look at it and like click a couple of buttons and like, oh no, this just looked like a loose wire or whatever it is.
Like error code 682, find out what that is or whatever. The whole time Moreland has like a bead of sweat, right? Like
exactly.
Don't be in this fucking room when it opens. Cool. Okay, Angie. So let's see if you can scrub the room clean.
Risky standard. Can I push myself on this?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Take a stress for that, right?
Yes, 2 stresses.
2 stresses. Got it.
6.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the thing that you need. Cool. So safety measures complete. So there's no trace of you. The batch has been hacked. So here's the question. How is it that you guys are getting out of here when they are entering this place? What do people have as ideas for this?
We don't. We just stay here forever.
This is our home now.
Season finale.
One option would be the act of God was literally like a monsoon with things rushing in. If we accidentally fell in and were washed downstream, then it would look like employees that weren't supposed to ever be there suddenly died in this act of God. And we could have set something up like breathing apparatus or tubes or something like that to help us out.
So how would you? So the room is being flooded.
No.
Room?
So actually, we exit the room.
Okay.
Oh, you're asking how would we exit the room with the closed doors?
Yeah, closed
Oh,
doors with
okay.
people behind them. Yeah.
Okay.
So my idea is totally like if as they're coming in, they're looking into the room. So like it's literally us like holding on to the doors as they open and walking right by us, like the camera from the other perspective. And then like as they walk by us, we just sort of like drop silently and then like walk out as they continue going on.
Okay. Are people on board for that group action? Sounds pretty groupy.
I was imagining going through the decks, like all of those movies,
Like
Just
the distribution system for the vats.
I was imagining like the AC or whatever,
Oh,
But
okay.
a lot of these buildings also have like dropped floors, so you could crawl under too, which might be easier or more interesting.
Sure. Okay. So, well, it could be both for sure as well, right? People don't all have to do the same thing. So, let's see. Yeah. What is Mike and Steven thinking?
My cat is biting my feet. Sorry.
So old man doesn't think he'll be able to hold on to the door and drop down silently. So I think he probably is trying to go through the ducts, as one exit.
Okay. And Mike?
I can do the drop.
Okay, so two different group actions, it sounds like. Sounds good. Okay. So Yoshi, are you positioning for a ghost?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is this feels like Ghost?
Cool. Let's do that then with y'all too. See how that goes.
How much stress do you got, Yeji? Can you
You
lead
got
this?
3 straps. I can lead it.
All right. Cool.
All right. So 5 so far.
Whew, a lot
Whoa.
of ones today.
Yeah, so you get a little stressed out. Complication. Oh. I like... Oh, I know the complication. Yeah, this will be good. So so you guys drop, you're exiting, and that's when you hear the technician say, I have a small confession. We know that you've been working with somebody else, and there's no alarm in the vat, right? That's going off. This is just the place that I don't know, some Bond villain thing to say. Let's see, like, this is just your final resting place, and they take out the gun and shoot her in the chest.
Whoa.
Unless you want to resist it.
Whoa.
I will totally resist that because this person's on our side now, and I like helping people on our side. So like I think like we hear that like just as I'm dropping off, and then like as I hit the ground, it's sort of like pushing off the wall that like we were just dropping off of like the door, and like just sprinting out to basically knock the guy out before he does this.
Okay, so not kill him.
Right.
Because you could always just, she could be like, I feared for my life or whatever, right?
Yeah, I think yeah, let's not kill him. Maybe.
Sure.
I don't like that. I like the idea of not killing him because then we could toss him in the raging torrent.
Yeah.
And it looks natural.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll not kill him. It's just going to be knocking him out, and then we'll drag his body out.
Cool. I like that.
Port. All right. Risky standard. I'm doing skirmish.
Yeah. I think... Yeah, he's got a gun pulled, right? He could turn around and chew you if you make too much sound.
Yeah, I've got fine close quarters combat, so I've also got probably greater effect. So would that make it risky great?
Yes.
Cool. I don't have enough stress to do bonus die, so we'll just submit this.
Oh,
Oh no. 442. Okay, so complication. You do the thing. He
Yep.
gets knocked out, but I think the gun also goes off, right? And gets her right in the chest. So
Can
he's
can I resist this and take the wound for her? Like get into the way, like he shoots me instead?
yes, unless Yeji wants to do a protect action for the
yeah.
consequence.
I'm gonna cut that bullet through midair with my sun jets.
Excellent.
Sunjet blades.
That is very cool. Okay. So what do you think that action or that resistance roll is?
Prowess?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
You roll the categories for that, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Just see how much
Man.
stress you take.
System mastery.
Yeah. 6, so you take no stress. This is no big deal. So tell me what happens.
So I think as Cross kind of like made this move, like I was like immediately behind and saw like the trigger being pulled and just had like flipped out my blade very quickly and like charged up the sunjet quality on it and just like as this like bullet shot just like snipped it right through the air.
Excellent. I like that a lot. Okay, then we'll do a cut to below below this area with you guys crawling in the ducks, right? So you are navigating to kind of like get to your extraction point, it sounds like, with this kind of scuba gear stuff, right? So what action do you guys think this is?
I was just thinking ghost. I don't know what else it could be.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
Cool. Well,
And this is us. Is this actually us going through the AC ducts, or is this something else?
It's up to you guys. What do you think?
What do you think, Hex?
Yeah, the AC ducts, but for a lot of these type of buildings, they have the AC under the floor, so I think that would make it easier.
Okay, that sounds
Cool.
good.
So I think you're in a controlled position now. And standard effect. Getting there. Actually,
And-
I want to retcon that to risky because I think if you're below, maybe some of the water is reaching down below there as well now. So let's see if you get caught up in this water.
It's risky standard.
Yeah, risky standard unless you have items that you want to bring into this.
I think I'll just push myself to get out of here.
I'm going to
Okay.
push myself as well.
Okay, sounds good. Ooh, 6.
Hey, 6.
There you go. So that's good. So old man stresses you out a little bit. How do you get stressed out a little?
So I think what this is old man isn't used to being in real tight, spaces, and he's crawling along, and I think the water starts to come up, and he panics a little bit, and kind of keeps pushing Hex along in front of him. Come on. So I think it's a claustrophobia kind of stress. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I think we get the shot of like the come on, and then we get a shot of y'all back with your contact. And is it the same thing? Are you like, come on, you're one of us now, basically, right? You better get out of here.
I mean, we could also just like I was thinking we could also just let her be and like we've got this body, but like you can come with us or you can stay here to play it out. They know.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe she just like maybe she's I don't even think there's a role. Yeah, I think she's just like obviously they know if this little peon has figured it out and ordered like presumably ordered this fella to take her out, right? So yeah, I think we get like a shot of you all getting to the extraction and then leaving. I want to see how well that goes heat wise, maybe. Yeah. So complications will just raise your heat, I think. So
One last group roll, then it sounds like.
I think so, yeah. And so you guys all have gotten to this place with the scuba gear and stuff like that. It sounds like, right? And now
If you
you're
don't
just
mind, Before we do that, I'd actually like to. I've got Street Doc, and I'd like to try and do a quick thing on Cross because she's hurt really badly, and see if I can't. No, okay.
I'm not actually hurt. We solved the
They were mean and resisted the consequences.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
yeah
Off the bullet puzzle.
Okay.
we resolved it a different way.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so is this still a ghost if you're exiting this way, or what do people think? Because I think there's an argument for trace as well in this instance. Trace is like tracing a path, right, and stuff. So
I am better at Ghost. I would prefer that, or whoever is going to lead this, I think they would prefer if I rolled Ghost than Trace.
cool. Ghosting. So just keeping up with the stealth so that nobody knows that you were ever here, right?
Yeah, super stealth.
Cool. Let's see how well this goes, Miniger Solid folks.
Who's leading this on the way out? I've only got 2 free stress boxes, so I can, but I'm hoping people roll well then.
I've got 5, so I'm
Nice.
good to lead this operation. That probably makes sense.
Gagey, go.
Cool.
Ooh,
And
that's
risky and standard.
good. Yes, yeah. Risky is just adding more heat, leaving a trace behind, I think. Ooh, cross fails. But there's a 6 anyway. So it's a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, see, this is what you get when there's no punching people in the face or very little of it. I don't succeed.
Right. That's a success for old man. Oh, and then there's a fail. So you take 2 stress, Yeji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So everybody has like rebreathers and stuff on as they're like going out the like exit pool of this monsoon, essentially, right? Cool. Okay.
I think we have rebreathers, but like first is the scene of like me just dragging the other body and like tossing it into the monsoon, like, and I'm just like watching like the body sort of like get mangled up and like down, just like shrugging to everybody else, like, guess we're jumping in now.
Yeah, and I think your contact, right, is just like, you people are fucking crazy. Basically.
So I think we actually have like suits that we slip into. So whenever we hit the water, as we hit things, there's like an airbag kind of thing that goes off that kind of keeps us from getting buffeted too much.
Right.
Sounds like specialized tech.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you guys are all like, woohoo, and she's all like, ha ha ha. I love it. Okay, cool. Let's quickly do this Fallout. Pay on. So 2 rep, higher tier, yes. 3 rep fills you up because you got a bunch of turf as well. Let's see. Is this a minor job, a small job, a standard score, a big score? What do we think?
I feel like it's a smaller minor job. Like we're not really making a ton of money.
Wasn't money. Yeah, so we'll just say 4 joules. Let's say. And heat wise, let's see. You got a 6 on that roll, so I can't add more heat, but it looks like it was smooth and quiet, standard exposure because of there was like, yeah, I don't think there's much for them to point to, right? +1 if it was a high profile target, yes. Did it happen on hostile turf? No, yeah, I would count it as hostile turf because it's their plant. You're not at war, and you didn't kill anybody, or you did kill people, but it doesn't matter.
That is true as well.
Yeah, that unconscious guy got flooded into a torrent. They'll find his body and be like, "Oh, poor buddy, monsoon."
And because of one of our upgrades, we have -2 to heat per score.
Right, but you also use the sun jet, so you get 1 heat.
1 total heat. Cool.
Yes. And then let's move to some scenes to finish it up. Do people want to do downtime scenes or epilogues, or how do people want to handle this last little bit?
Epilogues sound good.
Yeah, because we could do getting rid of stress and stuff, but when we come back, it will be gone anyways. Same with like the damage if you incurred any. So cool. Okay, Asher, do you want to start then?
I want to see this party ship. Maybe after we hack these nanites, we can like invite everyone to our ship, right? Yeah, maybe I could use some of the security systems that we saw there on our ship. Like start installing it on this party boat so that it can handle a lot of people and still stay secure.
Cool.
Keep people out that we don't want. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Cool. What about Yeji?
Well, I want to fulfill Yoshi's wish, so I feel like there should be like a scene with Yeji talking to the old man.
Sounds great. What topic?
So I think, yeah, like afterwards, maybe we're riding back or something like that, and Yeji kind of like turns to you and is like, I'm surprised that you were willing to shut the nanites down. My experience with your type is to make them even worse.
I like taking down Nourish. So if we have to take down nanites just to do that, nanites are a tool. And they can be modified and changed to do all sorts of good and bad things. But Nourish is bad. And if we take them out, or Nourish, those guys are bastards. They just hurt us really. They hurt me really bad. And anything I can do to hurt them back is good for me.
How did they hurt you?
Well, you see, I used to have a cushy life like Maloran, right? And my life isn't so cushy anymore. I kind of have to work a little bit harder at things. And it sure would be nice to go back to where I was from. But they made sure that doesn't happen, that it's not going to happen.
Yeji grabs like a glass or a canteen or something like that, and she starts coughing. And she coughs up like this like yellow-orange vial with these kind of like bulbs in it into the glass, and she hands it to you. She say, "This is what they did to me. Do you think you can find out how to end it?"
Ooh, so old man, I think, gets really excited. And he kind of swirls it around and I think he actually like touches it.
You don't want to do that. No.
Yeah. And like, oh yeah, this is bad stuff. And I think he, then starts mixing in some.
Yeji's eyes are just like.
Yeah. So he's totally like, oh, this will be great. I can't wait to get back and work on some of this. And the audience definitely gets the idea. Half of the people leave thinking, oh, he's really excited to help out his friend, and the other half of the people leave thinking, oh, he's like, a mad scientist, like trying to make it worse and worse.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Yeji is like suspiciously looking at him and is also like, oh, you like tasted that? And then like just like she always wears like all of these like heavy scarves, and she takes one of these scarves and just kind of like wipes her mouth and removes that scarf and tucks it into her belt.
Nice. And she has other scarves on her belt where the same kind of things happened, right?
Yes.
Nice.
Cool. Old man epilogue?
Yeah. So I think old man's epilogue is actually with Maloran. And it's him, sharing a meal with her at first. And it's kind of a montage of scenes. So he sits down and there's a very fine meal. So this is him indulging his luxury. so that she has an easier transition to, our gang life. And then after that, it's him introducing her, after we have some of this meal, we walk through the garden and, see the purified water and see all this kind of stuff that we have. I think this is after we've actually treated her, right? So she's free. And then, we go out to the party barge and she kind of steps into this great party kind of thing and her eyes get really big. And, old man says, we cater to all of the needs of life, not just, we aren't just trying to score money. We are trying to live and grow and make sure others can help us with that.
Cool. I like that. Cross?
Yeah, so I think mine's actually pretty simple. I think on the barge, it's just a scene of like Cross meeting with some nefarious character. Like we don't know who it is, but it's just somebody that is obviously a contact for another job, like just doing work. And Cross is sort of like even amongst the party and everybody else like celebrating, Cross is still doing work to like take down Nourish type things.
Cool. So you're obsessed. Obsessed much? Cool. So here's a question. You've got a shit ton in your vaults, and you are ready for a tier up if people want to do that. You are tier 2 weak, so a tier up would cost 8 times your tier is 16, though. That's a lot. For 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You have 14 in your vault already, though.
Plus we got 4, so that would, if we took 2 from that, that would just basically leave us 2 in the vault at the end of it to tier up.
Cool. Let's do that. So you're strong now. No rep.
Sweet.
Did you add the heat already too? The
I
one?
added the 1 heat.
Cool. Okay. And then we are good. Cool. So you tiered up to stronghold, which makes sense after this, I think. You're almost ready for a tier 3. Well, all you need is a shit ton of jewels, lots of the bunnies, because yeah, I think I did that right. I'm pretty sure it's 8 times your tier. It might be 8 plus your tier. That actually might be right.
We can look it up.
Yeah, we'll see. It's 8 times something or 8 plus something. It's one of those things, and it's a big difference. Cool. Okay, so let's do the XPs then. Asher, do you want to start?
Sure. Address the challenge with deception or influence. I think that was a lot of this. So I'll give myself 2 because we definitely did both of those. Express your beliefs, drive, culture, or background. I don't know that I did my background very much, but I definitely got into hacking a lot more, which is something I wanted to see from this playbook. So I'm very happy about that. Then I don't have any vice. I didn't deal with the vice or trauma.
Cool. And Mike? Mike?
You're on mute.
I thought I unmuted myself. I thought I realized that I was unmuted and then unmuted myself. And I was still unmuted. So no desperate actions. I addressed challenge with stealth or precision a couple times there, I think. You express your beliefs, drives, culture, or background. I think I was strong on that. Struggled with issues from your vice, root, or traumas during play. I don't know. It's up to you. That's always like my freebie because of how I structured the character. I don't necessarily feel like that's entirely fair, but.
Oh, also we have to retcon this a little bit. You have once you have that rep, actually, you automatically go to strong. You only pay to tier up to 3. So you actually have, hella money. So I'll just fill it up all the way. Yeah, so you didn't have to spend any money because you didn't specifically tier up. Yeah, sorry, continue.
But yeah, so.
Oh, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Cool. Steve?
Yeah, so I did a couple of desperate actions. So I marked those under, what I used them for. Did I address a challenge with technical skill or mayhem? I think we did a couple of those in finding out and figuring out a way to recruit our contact and actually breaking in. And then I have express my beliefs, drives, culture, or background. I think that especially came out in the epilogue scene with Geishi. So I like that a lot. And struggled with issues from my vice root or traumas I don't think I had. Yeah.
Cool. And Yoshi?
Yeah, so I addressed one situation with violence. So I'll give myself something for that. Beliefs, drives, culture, and background. I think we talked about sort of the obsession with Nourish. We're going back after them again, so I think that's worth 1. We saw my obsession, my trauma in play, but I didn't have to struggle with it. I mean, missing part of the party for doing that doesn't really feel like struggling. There's no real consequences for that. So I'll just take the 2.
Awesome. And crew-wise, did you execute a successful accident, disappearance, murder, or ransom operation? I think this could be labeled an accident because that's what people think it is, right? So that's what it was mostly about. Contend with challenges above your station? Yes, by 1. Did you bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one? Which is professional, deadly, ambitious.
I think the first 2. This was ambitious and professional.
Cool. And then, did you express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew?
Yeah.
1 or 2? What do people think?
3.
Clever.
2.
So you rolled over and you have 3 more, so you can choose some upgrades too if you want, or we could just leave it for when you return or whatever.
Let's leave it right now and just mark a note saying we have an upgrade to spend. And so we should have 3 rep now, you're saying?
3.
3 left over?
No. I put 3 crew advancement left.
Cool.
Yeah.
We're good.
And then, yeah, so you're done. Yeah, everything's good, I think. I think that's all the bookkeeping.
Cool.
All right. I'm going to stop the broadcast.